in Bridgeport last night. I mean, no surprise about this, but the whole reason they had to it was necessitated an additional Bridgeport election is because the rampant voter fraud. And I have said this for many years. I think if you go back in history, you'll find that Bridgeport probably was the place where voter fraud was founded in these United States of America. And I don't know. Did it prove anything? I don't know. What we did was we had someone that was actually stuffing a ballot box caught on video, and that's kind of what kicked it off. But has there been enough substantial changes made to make sure that our vote is really secure and trustworthy? And I don't know that is joining us now. I call him one of the good guys. State senator, serves in the 16th Senate District, which a lot of good listeners there in Cheshire, Prospect, Southington, Wolcott, Waterbury, of course, Senator Universe. Be happy to have Rob Sampson back with us. Senator, thanks for coming on.
Oh, it's always my pleasure, Will. Thank you so much for having me.
I know you've got a busy schedule, and I appreciate the fact you slotted us in today. No big surprise about the re-election, the redo last night. Gannon won big. But that doesn't really solve the problem, right? I mean, I don't think they've actually. What did they appoint? One, ballot box overseer, and supposedly there's cameras on the other boxes. It's really not enough to make sure that our elections are safe and secure, I think.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely correct. They've done nothing. I mean, the Democrats have shown zero will to address this issue in a legitimate way. I've been trying for years, warning about the potential for this exact type of drama that we saw unfold in Bridgeport this past year. And of course it happened. And, it's an unfortunate series of events, but I looked at it and I said, this is great because now I at least can make the case, and I've got video and the news media backing me up on it. But amazingly, the Democrats they will not budge.
It is hard to believe you get them on video. What else do you need, right? Oh, no, that's not enough. I mean, I think there's some real basic things that need to be done and are not hard to do, are not difficult to do, easily enforced. I mean, I don't know that most people would agree with this, but probably the first thing that I get excited about is I want all elections to take place on one day. We have Election Day. I think it should be federalized. It should be a holiday. I think schools should be closed. And I think you have the day to make your vote. Polls open at 6, close at 8 if you want to vote, if it's important enough to. Now, if you're going to be out of wherever, you can get an absentee ballot. That's fine. If you're going to be out of state, that's fine. But otherwise, there are some other basic things we could do that could shore up our election process. What are some things you and I think Stephen Harding, our new Senate leader, are promoting for strengthening our election process? What are some of those other things?
Right. Yeah. I mean, so Pastor, you're totally correct that as far as I'm concerned, I agree with you. Elections should happen on one day, except for the traditional exceptions. And in fact, I mean, I think that's what we should do is just go back to how elections were a decade ago before we had all these problems. And that is, we have Election Day on one day. We have absentee voting, but the absentee voting is narrowed down to legitimate reasons. And we could improve it with some, proper protections and protocols, requiring photo ID both for in-person and absentee voting, signature verification, and actually having a process to monitor and manage the absentee votes. Because, the thing is that mail-in voting is quite common across the country, except that states that do mail-in voting on a big scale, like we have been in the state recently, they're set up for it. When you go to register to vote in another state that does mail-in voting, they capture your signature legitimately. They purposely are capturing your signature in a certain way that they know that they're going to use that to match against a ballot later. That doesn't happen in Connecticut. Some states use a barcode. They use some sort of mechanism to verify the status. They also keep their voter rolls clean so that they're making sure that they're only sending ballots and applications to the right people. In Connecticut, our voter rolls are a mess. There's thousands and thousands of extra people on there, dead people, people have moved away, dogs, it's crazy. And all of those folks end up receiving ballot applications during elections because now we have campaigns sending out ballot applications. So people get 3, 4, 5 of these things in the mail every time around. And of course, they're filling them out, and people are filling them out for each other. It's a disaster. And if you want to solve the problem, the number one thing you do is stop the unsolicited mailing of absentee ballot applications by all sources. That means the state or candidates. It means you could keep everything in place that you have, except if you want an absentee ballot application, you have to ask for it yourself as the voter. I think that would solve a lot of the problems.
I agree. I know this came up for a public hearing on Monday, talking about the driver-only licenses, which I think are an easy prey for voter fraud. Democrats are for it, and I think this is how we're going to get illegals into the system. Give them a driver's license, and then it's on the responsibility of poll workers to try to figure out if that's a sufficient ID for voting purposes. I mean, I don't agree with the driver-only license anyway for illegal immigrants. I know they do it in New Haven and other places. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, what a can of worms! I know it's unbelievable that we're discussing what goes on in a driver's license for an illegal alien. I mean, what kind of madness is this?
Right.
There should be no driver's licenses for illegal aliens. I've been fighting that for over a decade.
Yeah.
When I was in the House maybe 10 years ago, I mean, I think I offered the amendment to repeal that drive-only license half a dozen times. I drove people crazy with it because it really annoyed me, because it's a big neon flashing sign that says, if you're an illegal alien, if you're an undocumented person, come to Connecticut. We want you here. And we have so many policies like that. And honestly, Pastor Will, sometime we ought to dedicate a good half hour to just talking about all the things that cause illegal immigrants to come to Connecticut, because there are a lot of them. We are a super sanctuary state. We have all kinds of extra protections for criminal aliens that are just unimaginable. And it's really a big topic. But this thing is just about them taking off the notification that is on the driver's license now that says it is not for voting purposes. I mean, what is the reason you would want to do that? There's only one reason, and that is because you're trying to legitimize illegal aliens, and you're potentially trying to legitimize the fact that they should be voting. And those are bad ideas, and obviously I'm going to fight that with everything I can.
I think people have a false sense of security here in Connecticut. The governor hasn't been real, in my opinion. The governor hasn't been super pro illegal immigrants as other governors have been, most likely, Massachusetts and New York. But Connecticut is not shielded from this, and I know this for a fact, based on the amount of food that we're giving away. We have one of the most active food pantries in the state of Connecticut. And we were, prior to COVID, servicing about 750 families per month. During and through COVID, it went up to about 1,000 families a month. And now it's up to 1,150 to 1,200 families a month. And what I'm hearing is, on the ground from the food folks, is that the folks that are coming in, they're all illegal. They don't speak English. There's no identification whatsoever. There's, because we want to at least know who we're talking to, who we're dealing with, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, that's one little food pantry, not little, but that's one food pantry that's seeing this surge, and the problem we're having now is, how do we keep up with the amount of food that is being required to give out when we get now 100 to 200 extra families a month that just show up and don't live in the area anywhere? Or are illegal, and we can't ask. We can't do that. So, Connecticut's gonna feel the strain of this, just like everywhere else, border state or not.
Yeah, it's not surprising at all. I mean, you see millions of people crossing our southern border. They got to end up somewhere, right? And of course, they know. I mean, when they one of their first stops, when they're in Texas, is like, where's the best place to go? I mean, I'm sure Connecticut's high on the list.
Top 10 for
hey,
sure.
You can get a driver's license there, and they don't even really ask about the state benefits. And if you have a criminal background, they're not going to verify that. I mean, Connecticut really is an attractive place for undocumented aliens, and that is dangerous for Connecticut residents. I mean, all of this is related. You're talking about election issues, you talk about the illegal immigrant border issues, and then crime is the other factor, and they're obviously all connected. I think increasing crime in Connecticut is, based in large part to very bad policies passed by the Democrat majority on party lines over the last decade, weakening our criminal justice system. But it also has to do with the fact that criminal aliens are are welcomed in Connecticut, and they're committing crimes here. What's sad is that it's not often reported. I've been told privately on a number of occasions, oh, hey, by the way, Rob, that accident that occurred where there were 2 fatalities down on such and such street, it turns out the driver was an illegal alien. But that was not publicized.
Yeah.
And I think it needs to be.
Well, I wonder what else is involved. I mean, certain things. The poor young woman who was a student murdered in Georgia by an illegal immigrant. We found out about that. But I mean, how many other crimes take place where we don't know that there's illegals involved? And I just don't. I don't know.
Right.
It's frustrating.
It's just one life. Just one life. They're always saying. Well, how come these lives don't matter? That's what I'd like to ask them.
Right. That is a great point. Let me shift to another question that I'm very concerned about, and particularly because it's a short session. I know, we do a lot of important things in Hartford, but it seems like we wait till the last minute and in the last few days of the session to really get a lot of stuff done. And then there's stuff snuck in at night, and you just don't know sometimes what's going on. Do you think that this electric car mandate is going to resurface its ugly head? And it shouldn't. And it shouldn't, because of a story I have today from Reuters that all the companies, Ford, GM, everybody, and a lot of the foreign manufacturers as well, Mercedes, BMW, they're really backing away from electric cars because, number one, they're not selling. They make a higher profit margin on the gasoline-powered cars. And the people that want electric cars, guess what they really want? They want hybrids. They don't want pure electric vehicles. So now you've got the manufacturers backing away. GM stepped away from a $12 billion initiative. Ford's not making the F-150 electric truck anymore. Are we that stupid that we're going to try to sneak that in and push it in this session?
I'd say there is no we, because I'm certainly not that stupid, and I don't think you are either.
Collectively as a state, I guess. Yeah, I mean, there are obviously exceptions, but I'm sorry.
Yeah, let me just correct one other thing that you mentioned a moment ago, too, that people don't know what they're voting on or things are snuck in. I mean, that's not really true. I mean, my colleagues love to come up with these things all the time. Oh, yeah, I didn't really know that was in the... Well, if you didn't know what was in the bill, you shouldn't have voted for it, in my mind.
Yeah.
The majority tries this on a regular basis. They'll hand you, a 500-page bill, still steaming from the photocopier, and then, you get to vote in 10 minutes. The answer's no. I'm not voting on anything if I don't know what it is. And that should be the automatic answer for my colleagues, too. But the fact is, it doesn't happen that often. People know what is in the bills. The idea that they don't know what's in there, that's just not true.
No, I'm saying the general public may not know what's in the bill. But again, we don't have the numbers. The problem in Hartford is we just don't have the numbers. So even if there's something in the bill that we don't like, how are we going to stop this and how are we going to stop it in the House? We don't have the numbers.
Yeah, I mean, the answer is to involve the public. I mean, and that's what we've done to stop tolls. I think that's what we've done so far to successfully stop the ban on gas-powered cars. Mm-hmm. And I prefer to refer to it in those terms rather than as an EV mandate, because to me that's the big issue. I mean, I don't care what they do with EVs. People want EVs. God bless them. They can make them. They can buy them.
Sure.
But don't take away my gas-powered car.
Right.
That's the big issue for me. As far as it going forward, I mean, I think that really depends on a lot of factors. I mean, I think if the pressure keeps up, from our side, trying to stop it, I think we can prevent it from happening because there are Democrats that are in swing districts that are obviously sensitive to that. But of course, there are people on the far left, the environmental, the extreme, radical environmental lobby that is just pushing for this stuff. And I know it is something that is, seriously on the radar of the Democrat leaders in Hartford. They really want it. They're putting a lot of pressure on their members. So, but it's a tug of war. I mean, it's whose position is going to prevail in the eyes of the public. And remember, it's an election year, so I think everyone's sensitive to that.
Well, I think too there was a very telling factor that came out last week, and this hasn't happened. I think the last time the United Auto Workers supported a Republican president was Reagan. And now it came out that there's going to be strong support for Trump. And the reason there's going to be strong support for Trump is these guys all know if we go to EV vehicles, they're going to lose jobs like crazy. There will be no way to save their jobs across the country, across factories. And so you've got people that normally would never even consider supporting a Republican looking at this and going, this is bad. This is bad. It's bad for the economy. And I don't know why. I mean, I know people are, committed to the environment. I mean, I as a Christian, I believe that God created the earth for our enjoyment, but also for us to manage and take care of well. I don't see a dichotomy between enjoying the earth and taking care. I think it's both. I think it's two sides of the same coin. But having said that, I mean, these guys they're willing. These ultra, I call them ecological terrorists. They're willing to say the hell with the economy and the hell with our standard of living for a theory they don't even know is true. And that's how committed they are to it. So I'm worried. I'm worried because there's a lot of those folks in Connecticut. I'm worried if that kind of influence could force the legislature into doing something.
Yeah, the climate argument is filled with misinformation from all different directions, and I agree with you. I'm a lover of the environment. Before I went into the real estate and insurance industry, which is what my career ended up being, I wanted to be a scientist. I was studying ocean science and aquatic science and that kind of thing. So I'm very concerned about the environment, and I'm still very interested in protecting it. What's happening, though, is we are actually making tremendous strides. Just the switch from coal-fired electric plants to natural gas over time has been an unbelievable swing in the right direction for the environmental cause. I mean, we've got to let these things happen in their proper and due course with not overwhelming the public with electric bills that are 5 times what they should be, which is what they are in Connecticut. We came out the other day, Senate Republicans, with a plan, actually with the both caucuses, to streamline and reduce electricity costs in Connecticut by suggesting that, look, we're willing to do some of your green energy stuff, but we're not going to pay 5 times the cost for wind energy that we're paying for natural gas.
Right.
We're just not going to do it. That price has got to be better because the people of Connecticut cannot afford it.
Right. Right. Hey, listen, we are out of time. Thank you so much again. I know you snuck us in there today. You got a busy schedule. I appreciate it. But we'll have you on soon and more updates as required. All right. State Senator Rob Sampson, thank you so much.
My privilege. Thanks so much, Will.